Hey YouTube. I wanted to give you a little update on the garden and how the garden up by the porch is doing. And this here's my Concord grape. I haven't gotten any grapes yet, but I'm not expecting any either. Uh, it's first year, and they usually don't produce their first year, as far as I know. I could be wrong, but I don't know. This is my first time growing grapes. And if you remember back, when I got this, I also got a Jersey blueberry, and that one didn't do anything. Haven't given up on it completely yet, but yeah, it's done nothing. It actually looks even worse than it did when I got it, so not giving up on it, but not really doing much with it either. So next up is my wife's peppermint, and I do apologize for the traffic going by, but peppermint's not really been doing anything crazy, but it is still growing. So, and then skullcap. This stuff actually had a rough start. Had to be replanted, and now it's doing pretty good. I don't know what to do with skullcap, but she wanted it, so she got it. And then we have mullein. It's another herb, and I didn't know what this stuff was when we planted it. Well, when I planted it for my wife, and I've actually kind of grown to love this stuff. The leaves are kind of silky. They got this like furry, they got like a fur over the leaves, and I don't know. I've kind of grown fond of this plant. It's actually 3 plants. I pruned it back a few weeks ago, and it's doing really good. All right, next up we got the Roma tomato, which, judging by the leaves and the leaves of the Tiny Tim, you can tell it's not quite as healthy as the Tiny Tim. I don't know what's going on with it. I've been giving it compost tea and everything else, and I think up here on the porch it just doesn't get as much sun. But nonetheless, I've got tomatoes, and I've got one starting to ripen, so not all that bad. And then, of course, the Tiny Tim. And look at the tomatoes on this thing. I was expecting cherry tomatoes on a Tiny Tim, and these things are winding up, yay big. So cool. It is doing like what a determinate plant does and not getting much taller, but it's putting out some tomatoes. So yay, I'll be trying to grow this one year round. This is probably going to be my indoor plant over the winter, if things go as well as I'm planning. Alright, next is Mulatto Islano pepper. Haven't gotten a pepper off of it yet, but I do have plenty of flowers on it, and it's not far from making some peppers. It did get kind of a late start, and kind of went downhill for a little bit, so it's doing pretty good. It's just slow to get where it's going. Alright, and this here, sorry, I had to take a drink of my coffee. This here is the blueberry, the semi-dwarf Northland, I think. Anyway, this is its first year. It hasn't put out any blueberries or flowers, but it does have a lot of new growth. This these two limbs here, if I could turn my camera the right way, these two here, they weren't there, and this one down here, of course there's a dead one. So it's it's the first year, and I haven't been expecting anything out of it. And then next up, I'll just move this guy down here. This is the golden Marconi pepper, and it hasn't really been getting much sun, so if I just leave it there, that'll probably make it do a little bit better. I don't know. This is one of them plants that I just kind of squeezed in, so it didn't really get the same soil. It didn't get all the different nutrients I added for everything else. So it's really having a hard time catching up. But I did notice the other day, or I thought I noticed, it had some. Here we go. It's actually got a flower pod on the top, if you can see it. So it's coming along. It's not really healthy, but it's coming along. And next up is, sorry, I'm getting a little shaky. This is the chocolate spearmint, and over here it's actually got a flower. So hopefully the flower makes some seeds, and I'll be able to save some seeds this year and grow it again next year. And the St. John's wort never sprouted. What you see in there is just from the chocolate spearmint. And the rosemary never sprouted. And I even went and bought new rosemary seeds. So I don't know what happened there. And then the regular spearmint, I guess. And it's starting to put, yeah, it's 60 degrees in high humidity. Been high humidity all summer. I haven't even used my rain barrel. But anyway, I got I got flowers starting on it too. And it's doing really good. It's healthy, tall, sprawling out. So hopefully the flowers make seeds, and I'll be able to save more seeds. And if you've watched my videos in the past, over the winter, I think I was planting spearmint. The seeds are really small. I bought a pack of 100 of them, and you really can't tell how many you're planting. If you take a pinch, you've probably got like 20 or 30 seeds in it. So the seeds are really small. But next up is fennel, and this is the one I grew over the winter in the grow room, and the rest are the ones that got planted outdoors later on, except for this is a weed. So everything else is what got planted over the summer. And notice, you can tell that those back there are in the shade, and this one's what's catching the sun. So that might have something to do with it. It really doesn't get a whole lot of sun back here. But next is my red romaine lettuce that I've got growing in the self-watering container. I really didn't plan on what I'm doing, but now that it's in the process, I'm just growing this thing for seed. I have tried the leaves and everything. I do like the lettuce, but I only planted one, so yeah, I'm just letting it bolt, and I'm gonna save the seeds from it. Alright, next up is the toothache plant. And again, with the lack of sun, it really doesn't go crazy. But over here on this one, you can see it's starting to form a bud. So I might be doing a demonstration on the toothache plant before long, telling you, how this actually will make your mouth numb. It actually does help with the toothache. But this plant here, the one that's not really all that healthy, is the one forming a bud. So that's kind of cool. And then prairie sage. I don't know. Doesn't nothing fancy. Just prairie sage. Dill, which was fun. It was fun. We actually we were picking off of it and chewing it. It tasted like pickles to us, so I don't know. We had fun with it, and I'll be planting more. I got a whole lot of seeds for it too. I just didn't do that great up in the sun, without the sun, without a whole lot of sun. And here's my other jalapeno plant, and I do actually have a jalapeno forming. This was a flower, but now it's actually got a fruit behind it, and more flowers coming on. So it's doing pretty good. And then yarrow, and the yarrow is starting to go to seed, or has. I'm not exactly sure, but this one did pretty good. My wife got it off the neighbor. The neighbor had too many, so helped us out, and so I'm gonna be saving her some seeds. And then, last but not least, well, last for today, is the Colorado blue spruce, and it's been in this container for a while. I need to transplant it, but it's doing pretty good. It's got a little brown up top, but it's also got some new growth too, so I just need to transplant it and get it in something bigger so it can get some bigger roots. But anyway, that's how everything's doing up here. And I got one last thing to show you. Okay, so you all remember my rain barrel. Well, I had some squash plants growing out of my worm bin. So I just pulled them by the roots and put them in here. And what's crazy is I actually pulled the roots out, and I broke a lot of the roots, and I didn't think they were going to make it. Well, turns out they did. And the roots are actually growing like crazy. So yeah, it's doing pretty good. And trying to tap on this and see if I can get Buford to come up. Oh, there he is. You see my goldfish? That's how I keep the mosquitoes from going crazy. Hopefully you saw Buford. Buford's my fish. Yeah, I had to name him. But anyway, that's all I wanted to show you. So hope you enjoyed, and if you have any questions, feel free to post comments, and let's grow together.